Jessica and Jesse, how did it feel the moment you hear Gordon Ramsay call your name as the season 15 winners of MasterChef?
Oh my God.
Honestly, we blacked out.
Yes, both of us blacked
We
out.
blacked out. All I remember is like spatulas going off everywhere and then like seeing like the most beaming expression I've ever seen on his face before. And we were jumping up and down together and like it was just like
I
silence.
remember just turning to her and be like, "Oh, we won!" And she's looking at me like,
What's happening
yeah,
right
what's
now?
happening?
Is this real
Exactly.
life?
Exactly. And then all of a sudden we're handed a trophy and envelope, and I was like, oh, we're here. We're still here.
I mean, this was the first season ever of dynamic duos. So, how
Yeah.
did it feel cooking side by side throughout this competition? And how did food and cooking become sort of an integral part of your relationship?
Yeah, so we cook every day in our own kitchen, so it felt right at home.
Mhm.
Even sort of the bantering and bickering back and forth. You know, and be like, no, do this, no, do that, I'll taste this. But I think that was like what really brought us together and knowing like, all right, we felt like we were always, I don't know, in the same page.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in sync because we every minute that we have to cook together, we take advantage of that. That was our love language from the beginning of our relationship. We bonded over food. We used to work together bartending, and they were very long shifts, and there were lulls in those shifts. And during those lulls, we would talk about food, and then it eventually turned into conversation about traveling to eat food. And then we ended up traveling together for 40 days in Europe, and that's yeah,
Absolutely.
we've loved food from the get-go, and that's always been our bond.
Yeah, both of us big Anthony Bourdain fans, so we talked about that a lot. We used to bring food into each other at work for like
Mhm.
the down periods, and then eventually we started like dating and going out to restaurants and then cooking for each other. Once we heard about the duo season, we're like, this is meant for us. This is fate.
But it can be a double-edged sword. Like, what are the biggest challenges you have when you're butting heads in the kitchen? What do you disagree on?
I mean, it could be like a variety of things. There's a
Yeah,
lot of things that we would butt heads on, but we always met in the middle because you had to. You had to learn how to pivot. You had to think
yeah.
on your feet. And I think what made us a strong duo is that we offset each other's strengths and weaknesses. So we were a good balance together in the kitchen.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we butted heads usually when it came to like the flavors of the dish, but how to get there,
Yeah.
right? That would be where we butted heads, where I would think a certain technique would need to be used, and she would think a certain technique to be used, and he'd be like, no, 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 we're doing this way. No, we're doing that way. Or, like we gotta go faster. We gotta, we gotta, speeder. And she's the more concise, thought up for one. And I'm just like the go, 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 go. And like trying to play off of that was the bigger one. And like just bringing me down to a level that needed to be more.
You're up here. I need you to be down
Yeah, yeah,
here.
exactly. That was definitely difficult at first, especially since you never cooked in that kitchen, you didn't know where anything was. But as each challenge went on, it was like, all right, we're starting to understand how this process needs to play out.
That finale menu you described as a love letter to New England. Why
Right.
did you choose that theme, and what ingredients or traditions did you most want to highlight with that?
So me and Jesse are both born and raised in New England. So we wanted to pay an homage to where we grew up and where we met and where we fell in love. So that's where the menu started out. And then with New England, we're known for our seasons. So we wanted to incorporate that into the menu as well. So we kind of riffed off of dishes that we both grew up on, dishes that or ingredients rather that are
Yeah.
staple ingredients in New England cuisine. And then we wanted to elevate that with everything that we learned through the MasterChef kitchen.
Yeah, so like our appetizer, especially in New England, late summer, early fall corn, right? So we did the corn puree. We're on the water, so the scallops, apples, apple picking season, so Brussels sprouts with the leaves falling, that fall theme. So
Yeah.
that really drove home the appetizer. The entree, the winters in New England can be brutal. You're stuck inside because there's 2 feet of snow outside. So, you braise meats all day, and that was kind of like our thing. And especially like doing like a gnocchi or a pasta with that. And then the dessert was that homage to like hanging out by the fire pits and the spring and summer times and making the s'mores. But we wanted to elevate that to a
Mhm.
MasterChef worthy dish.
At what point in the competition, because at the end it's always the same, you're going to cook a three-course meal. So at what point do you kind of start spinning the wheels of like, what would I cook in the finale? And does that change as you become part of the competition? Because it feels like you're constantly learning how to elevate, elevate, elevate. So what you would have maybe cooked on day one could be very different from what you ended up cooking at the finale.
1000%. I would say that our finale menu was probably written out, finalized 10 days before we executed it. We had an idea of what we wanted to do with the New England part of it, being from there and being influenced by it. But as the challenges went on, we were realizing like, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, or like, okay, that's terrible, that's not gonna work. And then just like learning the challenges as we were doing things, we're like, okay, how are we gonna also get this done in an hour time frame, right? And that was
Yeah, it
part
was
of
the
it.
parameters of it.
Yeah.
Early on, you actually lost your audition battle to Zach and Michelle. So were you
Yeah.
surprised to get a second chance? And is it surreal now looking back, thinking, you were almost gone and then you went on to win the whole thing?
It was so tough to not get that first apron. I mean,
It
tears,
was devastating.
devastating. We felt like losers. We felt like, who do we think we were even coming on this show? Like, it's ridiculous. And then to find out we had the second chance, we were like, all right, we're doing this. We're gonna do this
Yeah, it's
together.
do or die.
Absolutely. We're
That's
gonna,
it.
we're gonna do this together, and every single challenge, we're gonna take it and we're gonna run with it. We're gonna finesse it. On our off days and times in the hotel after a challenge, we talk about what went well, what didn't go well.
Yeah, we just completely immersed ourselves into
Yep.
the competition and just didn't look back after
Yep.
that.
And although you never know what the next challenge is, like we would talk about potential next plates or proteins or styles, and then have to like kind of like, all right, now that we know the parameters of the challenge, let's kind of roll off of that.
And Zach and Michelle were rooting for you in that finale. I mean, they at least predicting you to win. I don't know if rooting is the right word, but
We
um,
love Zach and Michelle.
Yeah.
yeah, what is it like behind the scenes? Because I'm sure you get a lot of time with everyone that we don't see in the kitchen. So how have you formed a lot of bonds with your fellow contestants?
Absolutely. We actually have a good chunk of the cast coming out for our watch party this Wednesday, so we're super excited to reunite with everybody. But that was one of the most incredible parts about this whole MasterChef journey was being able to meet and connect with these other creative people who were equally passionate about food and cuisine as you were, and you just talk and bond over that. And then obviously too, like from a competition standpoint, like no one else understood like what that entailed other than your fellow contestants. So
Yeah.
that was always a bonding portion of it as
Lots,
well.
yeah, lots of trauma bonding for sure.
Lots of trauma
Yeah.
bonding. Yep.
There would be times like a lot of us would be in the green room waiting for the challenge, and we'd be pacing back and forth, just shooting down shots of espresso, like raiding the fridge with whatever food we could find before we went in
Stress
there.
eating.
Stress eating. I definitely gained like 20 pounds being over there. But yeah, the competition was fierce, but also the people were amazing. Zach and Michelle were rooting for us, I think mostly because that first moment of going head to head with each
Yeah, we
other,
bonded over
we
that for
bonded over.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of trauma bonding, what was the most difficult challenge you faced throughout the competition or a moment you thought, other than the audition, like we could be going home after this?
Follow Gordon.
Yeah. Follow Gordon was one
Yep.
of the toughest ones. Not only did they make us do Follow Gordon, but it was a tag
Yeah.
team. So, once you get in a groove, you think you're going, and then it's time to switch. And then obviously just like, he's a beast. So
And also executing a Michelin rated plate that he created from one of his restaurants. So to like keep up with chef who works faster than the speed of light and then also try to execute this like Michelin quality dish.
yeah.
Like it was such an undertaking.
Especially techniques that you've never really seen before, like sautéing the endive the way he did with the powdered sugar, and then that was like something we've never seen before. And then the duck, we don't cook a lot of duck, so yeah, it was an intense one.
Such a fickle protein
Yeah.
too.
I would say though the other one would be the recipe telephone where we literally were not allowed to talk to each other or plan anything out. It was what you saw on TV. It was first person starts it, and then the other person has to pick up the pieces.
That was a fun one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to ask people that cook, what's one thing you would rather each of you order from a restaurant than ever cook for yourself?
Order from a restaurant and rather cook for ourselves. Oh, it's a tough one. We love cooking everything, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, when we go to restaurants, we're like, "Oh man, we could have done this a little better." Certain things, anyways. But I don't know. I would say the things that take for like a Peking duck. You know what I mean? Like we're
yeah.
not going to put in the time or even know how to do that. And maybe like a paella. We've made them before at home, but they are brutal to put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you hope to do now? Like, where does this launch you? Is it like, do you want to continue a food journey, or is it back to business as usual for you two? What's your journey moving forward?
Yeah, we do have a food dream. Actually, back during COVID, we started experimenting with a cuisine that we grew up on. It's called South Shore Bar Pie. So it's specific to the South Shore region of Massachusetts where we both grew up. And we started replicating it during COVID because you couldn't get it. And then it just slowly evolved into us like perfecting the recipe, the dough and the cheese blend and the sauce. And
Yeah.
then we started recently making it, par cooking it. We're cryovacking it and freezing it, and we want to sell it to the masses now. So we're going to start there, and hopefully that will eventually turn into a couple of brick and mortars as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we also have this plan or idea to open up like an Italian provision shop that
Hmm.
has like an artisanal sandwich shop inside of it. Sell all the great Italian
And also the
ingredients.
pizza.
Also the pizza. Jess is the sauce queen, I call her all the time. So like pestos and flavored mayos and aiolis and vodka sauce, all the things. So we have a ton of ideas out there that we're still kind of working with. If you go to our Instagram page, J Squared Eats or J underscore square underscore eats, there's a spot in there too on the link tree for a hot plate. And that's something where we're going to try to sell our pizzas and maybe even some like
Family
family
style
family
dinners.
style
Yeah.
dinners and things like that to kind of get it off the start and see how people react to the food.
Well, congratulations. You made history. First duo to win MasterChef. So
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you so much. It's still surreal to think about it, to think that on Wednesday that we're the champions, to think that we got the second chance. We talk about this all the time, how we were like the 2004 Red Sox that came back down 3-0 and made it to the finale and we won.